Hi, I'm here to talk about Hazbin Hotel characters. I'm really excited about this. Uh, I think that I previously had a top 18 for Hazbin Hotel, but thanks to the second season, I now have a top 20. Thanks to the second season, there are some characters that I don't like quite as much as I used to, but there are some characters that I like a lot more now. So some characters went down to a certain extent, and other characters went up quite a bit, and I feel like I have a pretty cool ranking. I'm not including all of the characters. Uh, so I'm focusing on characters that I like. So there are some characters in Hazbin Hotel that are somewhat important that didn't make my top 20. For example, Rosie didn't make my top 20. I wasn't that big of a fan of the character from the first season, and I think that she's really not good in the second season. I really don't like Rosie. I think she's my least favorite at this point, even more so than Mimsy. Number 20 for me is St. Peter, a character that hasn't gotten too much to do, so he's pretty low, but I do think that he has a certain charm to him, and he had some amusing moments in the second season. 19 is Emily. Emily is a lot more important in the second season than in the first season. So she did have some interesting moments. As a character, I do think that there aren't enough flaws to her. She feels a little too perfect to be one of the more interesting characters in Hazbin Hotel. I feel like if more of her flaws were explored, I would care a lot more about the character. But I do like her. 18 is Baxter. I was expecting Baxter to be one of the more prominent characters of the second season. He is a supporting character. He didn't get that much to do, but I do really like his personality. I do think he's entertaining. So when he got stuff to do, I was enjoying him. And I think that I could end up liking him more if he ever gets more to do, if Hazbin Hotel gets more seasons, and if he has a bigger role in a future season or gets some really funny moments. 17 is Nifty. I actually do like Nifty in the second season more than the first season. In the first season, she had some fun comedic moments, but I often forgot about her. Her role in the second season feels somewhat similar, but she did feel more prominent in the second season, and I enjoyed her comedic moments more. 16 is Abel. Specifically, talk about the Abel from Hazbin Hotel, not here to get into any other stuff, but specifically talk about Abel and Hazbin Hotel. I think that he is a very entertaining character who didn't get too much to do, but what he did get to do was a lot of fun, and I felt charmed by him when he did show up. He tended to have a funny line and some funny stuff to do when he showed up in a scene, and he did feel like a character that was there for comedy relief, although he did feel a lot more important towards the end of the season, so that's really cool. 15 for me is Sarah, who I do think is a lot more interesting than Emily, because she does feel like such a morally ambiguous character. And after seeing the first season, I thought that Sarah could have potentially have become the main villain of the show. But the second season did explore some of her more admirable qualities. She's definitely a very flawed character, but a very interesting character, and I like seeing her explore her guilt and think about what to do. 14 is Carmilla Carmine, who is great in the first season. She has some of the better songs in the first season, and I think that the song that she and Vaggie shared with Zestill Gain a little bit to do could be the best song that Hazbin Hotel has had so far, and I think it would take a lot to top it. Uh, Carmilla Carmine's role in the second season was somewhat disappointing. It felt like she was regressed as a character. I feel like she and Vaggie really reached an understanding, and it felt like Carmilla Carmine uh, went down as a character and became less likable, and she still had some sympathetic moments, and I do think that things ended nicely for what she got to do, but I do feel like her role in the second season is weaker than her role in the first season. I do think she could get higher in the ranking if she has a better role in the third season. 13 for me is Husk. I'm a huge fan when it comes to Keith David's voice. I think that Keith David is one of the best voice actors. Husk isn't one of the more entertaining characters, but he is one of the more likable characters, and I do really like his friendship with Anthony. And I do think that he was a pretty sympathetic character in the second season and in the show in general. 12 is Anthony. I think that a lot of people would have Anthony in their top five. I think that Anthony is a lot of people's favorite character in Hazbin Hotel, which is perfectly fair and understandable. Anthony is often a hilarious character. He's definitely one of the most tragic and sympathetic characters in Hazbin Hotel. Speaking as somebody that likes to be entertained, there are a lot of really sad, depressing moments involving Anthony. So, even though he's often really funny, there are a lot of times where he's not one of the more entertaining characters in Hazbin Hotel, unfortunately. In the second season, he did feel more in the background, even though I still like the character. I think that my number 11 could be my most unpopular opinion. Number 11 is Alistair. I think that Alistair is the most popular character in Hazbin Hotel, so him not even being in the top 10 could be a really unpopular opinion. And Alistair is a character that I think has gone down. I think that he used to be a lot higher on my character ranking. Alistair was a character that I really enjoyed in the first season. Very stylish, interesting, funny character. I think the only big thing that bothered me about Alistair was that since he's so mysterious, it was hard to fully understand him, so it was hard for me to fully know how I feel about him as a character. So I was very interested to see what he'd be like in the second season, and I often forgot he was there. He is important, but it felt like a lot of what Alistair did was mess with Vox, which was entertaining, and it felt like his origin getting explored was at least good to know. Um, but he still feels like a very mysterious character where not a lot about him is known. He still feels like a character that it's hard to fully know how to feel about him. And I could still imagine Alistair getting way higher in my character ranking depending on what's done with him. But he is still so mysterious, and he's still a character that it feels like a lot of potential is left unexplored when it comes to him. So he didn't quite make my top 10, which I'm guessing is a incredibly unpopular opinion that I don't think many Hazbin Hotel fans would agree with, because he seems like the most popular character. And I think that even people that don't like Hazbin Hotel too much would likely have Alistair pretty high if they did rank the characters. So hopefully my opinion's not too unpopular. I like a lot of characters in Hazbin Hotel. I like Alistair, uh, but he didn't quite make my top 10.